Canelo Alvarez could have faced an all-time great in a dream matchup that never happened for his first world title fight. Canelo Alvarez has faced off with some legendary opponents, but there is one that got away from him. While Alvarez may have turned down a fight with Terence Crawford in the past, the two men are set to lock horns later this month at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Both men are certainly no strangers to competing under the brightest lights with the eyes of the world on them. While Alvarez would face the likes of Floyd Mayweather, who Crawford believes is the greatest of all time, there's one huge name that he hasn't had the opportunity to face even though their paths appear to be aligning at one stage. Boxing throwback. Dana White laughed off UFC champion's call out of Canelo Alvarez despite labeling him the best ever seconds before Canelo Alvarez was lined up to face Manny Pacquiao in his first world title fight. Heading into 2011, Canelo Alvarez was starting to target some of the elite fighters that were around him in the light middleweight division. He had successfully defended the WBC silver belt on 2 occasions, making him the mandatory challenger for the winner of an upcoming vacant title fight. The prior November saw Manny Pacquiao earn a world title in his 8th weight class after he convincingly beat Antonio Margarito over 12 rounds. This now meant that the next fight for the WBC light middleweight title would see Alvarez challenge Pacquiao for the belt in a huge clash, even though the Mexican star hadn't won a world title at that stage. Unfortunately for the fans, Pac-Man made it clear in a letter to the governing body that he had no intentions of putting his belt on the line, choosing to jump between weight classes again as a result. Alvarez went on to fight for the vacant belt in March of 2011, where he dominated England's Matthew Hatton, the younger brother of Ricky Hatton, to win the title. Boxing throwback. Canelo Alvarez scored 4 brutal knockdowns to become champion in his first fight after signing huge $365 million deal. Manny Pacquiao gave his prediction for Canelo Alvarez's fight with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford also pursued a fight with Manny Pacquiao for several years, though once again, this dream matchup never materialized. The Filipino boxing legend did recently reveal his prediction for the upcoming fight between Canelo Alvarez and Bud, simply revealing who he thinks will take it when speaking to ES News. "I think Canelo win this fight. There are countless examples of huge boxing matches that got away from the fans, but fortunately, Alvarez and Crawford won't be one of them." Medical staff swarmed into the ring after Terence Crawford scored most terrifying KO of his career throughout his incredibly impressive boxing career. Terence Crawford has scored some huge knockouts, but none were more terrifying than his KO over David Avanesian. On September 13th, Terence Crawford takes on by far his toughest test to date when he clashes against Canelo Alvarez in an undisputed super middleweight title fight from the Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. The clash is undoubtedly the biggest boxing fight of the year, and it marks the inaugural event put together by Dana White and Turki Alashika's TKO Boxing. Ahead of their fight, Canelo and Crawford met for the first time earlier this year when they almost clashed at the pre-fight press conference. Medical staff swarmed ring after Crawford scored terrifying KO, donning a 41-0 unblemished record. Crawford will be hoping to put on another incredible performance and return to the form that saw him score 11 finishes in a row. And when he returned home to Nebraska in 2022 to take on David Avanesian, he scored one of the most brutal knockouts of his career. After becoming the first fighter to finish Shawn Porter and subsequently retire him, Crawford was booked to defend his title against Avanesian in his hometown of Nebraska. As expected, when the fight began, Crawford began slow and took a few rounds to find his rhythm and flow of the fight. Despite that, Avanesian continued to put on forward pressure and forced the champion to fight off his back foot, and this led to Crawford beginning to attack the body of the challenger. And after investing in the body attacks throughout the fight, it paid dividends for Crawford in round 6, when he landed a left uppercut followed by a right hook that sent his opponent crashing down to the canvas. The referee immediately recognized the brutality of the knockout and didn't even count the challenger out and instead called for the medical team to come into the ring immediately. Canelo once admitted he wasn't interested in fighting Crawford. Despite the weight discrepancy between the two, Canelo and Crawford have seemingly been on a collision course heading for each other for a while now. However, after the Mexican beat Jermall Charlo in 2023, He was asked about a potential clash against Bud, to which he admitted he wasn't interested and Crawford wasn't in his plans. But now the two will clash in what guarantees to be the biggest boxing fight of the year, with the winner walking away as the undisputed super middleweight champion. Eddie Hearn reveals surprising stance on potential fight between Darren Till and Carl Froch. I've got to be honest, Matchroom boxing promoter Eddie Hearn has always been openly critical of celebrity and influencer boxing, but he could be coming around to the idea. This past Saturday, Misfits 22 took place from the AO Arena in Manchester as former UFC stars Darren Till and Luke Rockhold clashed in the main. Even the Gorilla, Till scored one of the most brutal knockouts of the year when he landed a 4-punch combination on the former UFC middleweight champion, putting him out cold. And in the co-main event, former UFC interim lightweight champion Tony Ferguson emotionally snapped his 8-fight losing streak, scoring the finish over Salt Poppy. Eddie Hearn reacts to Misfits Boxing 22. When Misfits first began running shows, they came under a lot of criticism because of the type of names included on their events, along with the quality of boxing showcased. And one of the biggest critics was Matchroom boxing promoter Eddie Hearn, who has always been extremely critical of the influencer boxing world. However, after watching the action from Manchester this past Saturday, Hearn has shared his surprising reaction to the night of fights. I watched it, loads of shout-outs. I actually enjoyed it, Hearn said on IFL TV. You know what, I've actually gotten my head around it now, that it's just another world. I didn't really know what I was watching last night, and actually, Misfits is a good word because it's all kind of just bundled in, isn't it? Hearn reveals his stance on potential fight between Till and Carl Froch. After scoring such a terrifying knockout in the main event, Till went on to call out former boxing world champion Carl Froch, who was in attendance on the front row. And not long after the event, Froch responded to Till's call-out, claiming that he will likely return to training in the coming weeks to see if he still has the desire to fight. For a long period in his career, the Cobra Froch was promoted by Matchroom and Hearn, and with him potentially looking at making his return to the sport, Hearn has revealed his stance. I've got to be honest, and I don't think retired legends like Carl, that's what he is, should go anywhere near it. But I love the fight. You know why I love the fight? Because Darren Till is A.